Okay, I think I'm on. All right, well, welcome back to the channel where you can get delusional with Paulo. My name is Paulo. So, but the point here is that if there's something that you're tired of not being able to make a breakthrough with, then you have to get really delusional enough until your reality changes. Yesterday's stream was hard for me, but I did it and I needed to get through the first one to not be so nervous and anxious about the next one. I did not win the actual Powerball lottery, but that's okay. I never play, but it's at now 1.3 billion. I never played the lottery, but I said, well, why not? So better luck next time. But I've had some major breakthroughs in life that really money can't buy. I wanted this channel to be live because I wanted to be real, raw, and authentic. I've tried making YouTube videos before where I was reading off of a script and kept doing takes, and it's really not my style. Getting through life, I've done a lot of like winging it, so this is my approach to YouTube. Um, I do take notes and I read off of notes, but it just helps me to stay on track. Um, there is a book that I'm reading right now. It's called Letting Go by David R. Hawkins. So this series right here is really inspired by that book. I'm not really putting much effort in being perfect. I've tried it before, like I said. So when I try to be perfect, that is when I start to overthink and I mess up a lot. So today I'd like to talk about apathy and depression. Fear is at the bottom of the vibrational chart. Under that's grief, and even under that is apathy and depression. And it's an emotional state. It's the belief of that I can't. It's a negative attitude, making excuses of why not to do something, why not to be productive, and not even starting in the first place. Being apathetic about one's whole life in general, in the most extreme cases, it's close to someone's death. If you ever worked in a hospital, as I did back 10 years ago, I used to do physical therapy in the military, and I used to visit patients' rooms, and sometimes going to these elderly patients close to the end of their life, they would be diagnosed with failure to thrive, and they had reached a point where they were not eating anymore. They weren't getting out of bed. They just stopped feeling a willingness to live. But really, where does this apathy, not being able to do anything, depression, where does that usually come in? After a divorce, after a breakup, after a loved one's death, after losing a job, after a national disaster, after learning an affair, after losing an important game. How do you get out of it? You can start by letting go of the attachment of that perspective altogether. In any negative situation you want to get out of, first look at what are the payoffs of why you see reality in that way. I mean, quoted from this book, you will learn that behind most of I can'ts is actually I won'ts. So if you think of like any payoffs, it could be that you realize that you're choosing to that you won't do something because you want to feel pity from someone. You want to stay in this victimhood mentality. Instead, you can surrender yourself to the feeling of the doing nothing is of your own choice. If you continuously sit in a victim role, nothing will get accomplished. You won't grow and you won't learn. If you can choose to do something about your situation, then you can see that you are not doing something because of fear and getting out of this frame of hopelessness. There's a good story in this book that I'm talking about where he says that the most common fears is public speaking, in which I was definitely afraid of public speaking since the beginning of time, where I would go to school and if we ever had to present a project, I would I would feel nauseous, get sick to my stomach. My heart rate would just fly through the roof. I was sweating, almost be to a point of passing out, and I couldn't think. I'm sure someone can relate to that, but if you realize that a fear is really a desire to doubt something, but it's blocked by fear. Yeah. So if you realize that fear is really just a desire, sorry, blocked by grief and compounded by grief of, lost opportunities in the past, that could really turn into anger. But anger is okay because it's higher in the vibrational ladder and it's closer to courage. So if you look at the chart, you move from apathy to grief to fear, and then you start getting closer and closer to taking action. So the level of courage has a lot of energy to get things done. And you have this, you can see that at least you have enough courage to get over to overcome fears and get things done. Acceptance takes place of resistance. Resistance can really hold you in a chokehold. Resistance is is this feeling of being stuck, and it's a resistance of anything positive coming into your life. What has really helped me move forward to take action was one to think of sometime in the future, none of this is going to really matter. All these little feelings of negativity 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30, in this little moment of a negative space, soon it's not going to really even matter. And if I don't take action now, I am going to feel a lot of grief in the future. And two, it's constantly putting myself in the future of what my life will look like if I have accomplished what I want to. Just like yesterday, it was really hard for me just to even push the go live button. And I'm just sitting here, I'm like, I'm sweating. I'm getting knots in my stomach. But I kept putting myself in future tense, saying, well, what does life look like after I'm done with this dream? And most importantly, it was that I had accomplished a goal that was really hard for me to overcome. So as I'm here on day two after live streaming, I feeling a pleasure that I overcame my fears and I learned truly I can do something I put my mind to. And the more that I do this, the more I step into things that are scary, and I feel like maybe I'm jumping out of a plane with no parachute, the more I can do these things. There's definitely other areas in my life that I overcame fear, and now being on the other side of that, I want to share my experiences, and I have that love for humanity to be able to hopefully be an inspiration or motivation to someone that finds themselves in a dark place. So I've definitely been there. Um, so what I found is being more conscious, being more aware of taking accountability of myself, that we do actually have choices in the matter. Analyze things that are just programs, negative programs. At some point, we have bought into negativity and been willing to believe it. It starts with this self talk. If you can easily believe something negative, you can easily believe something positive. It's all a choice. So, really start to question where your beliefs come from. Everything there, this, bel this belief system of all the concepts of reality, of all the past programming from when you were a child, according to your parents, your culture, your religion, your society, your neighborhood, your teachers. Be aware of what you take so personally. Everything that you consume, whether it be through the internet, social media, through your friends, relatives, it doesn't have you don't have to attach yourself to whatever beliefs they have. So be conscious to know what is reality and what is true for yourself. Think about a time where you really wanted to do something, where you really wanted to learn something new. What are the emotions tied to it? Is it embarrassment, shame, guilt? There's a real sense of letting go of pride, letting go of the fear of not succeeding. With this YouTube channel, live streaming, not being able to edit, I'm really trying to show a level of vulnerability here to let you see that it's okay not to be perfect. It's okay to be awkward. You can choose to blame for not achieving your goals. You can choose to blame someone else. You can choose to blame yourself, but do you really have to blame anyone? Because what is the power of blaming? Blaming allows you to have people feel sorry for you. There's this bad versus good perspective. But with that comes a loss of freedom, a loss of strength. What if the whole point of life is this thing of just being neutral and at peace and unattached? Why can't we see unfortunate events as they are, as they just happen? Life is not perfect, but we hold on so tightly that we want to take ownership of all the negative feelings and emotions tied to it and the resistance to our higher self. You have the power to choose anything you want. You can choose to stay in victimhood and be in negativity for as long as you want. There's no one forcing you or telling you have to think anything different. But how long do you want to be unhappy? I've learned, and even in the most traumatic events, is that your nervous system can stay stuck in that traumatic event if you continue to see yourself as a victim, if you stay stuck in this woe is me and never see a purpose of why you had to go through that in the first place. There is great power and forgiveness in another person and in yourself. We also get stuck in the loop of a traumatic event and projecting into the future of the same thing, of the same traumatic event happening. Even when nothing is happening currently, the more you go back in your mind to a traumatic event, relive it, your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between if it's really happening currently or if you're just reliving it in your head. In every low feeling, there is an opposite to it. If there's hate, there's love. If there's fear, there's a possibility of courage. How to initially get out of apathy is by knowing that it's a choice to do nothing about the matter. So know that you have the choice and the power to do something about it. In this book, it says if we stop giving energy to the negative programs that come from our own negative self beliefs, we stop giving our power to others. You can take back your power by choosing to see a positive future. When you let go of resistance of having something positive happen, you can gain back your self esteem. If we don't ever go through any hard times, we don't learn, we don't grow. When do we say enough is enough? When do we say that there's enough guilt given, that there's enough self punishment, that there's enough blame? When we can move past this negative, when can we move past this negative feeling? Sometimes we don't like to admit that we've been putting ourselves through days, weeks, years of self punishment. The issue is never with the other person. You hold it. You hold it here. The heaviness of those negative emotions and those feelings. The point is, we are never really ever taught emotional intelligence as a kid. It takes you as an adult to sit back and think it might happen if I'm not that this negative state of mind is my own doing. We all have a level of innocence in us, and to give grace to another person, you have to see it in them too. I remember for myself feeling like a tumbleweed blowing in the wind. I was just letting life take me. I was letting the negative self-talk, the negative program just taking over my life and just reacting and not really responding. But don't be afraid to get upset at yourself for keeping yourself in a negative state of mind. Anger is a lot better than apathy, and it's just that much closer to courage, to where you can really do something about it. Sometimes you have to get out of your own way. And when we're able to let go of the guilt, the self guilt, we're able to let go of the self punishment. And it helps get out of apathy and depression. One of the best ways to get out of apathy and depression is surround yourself with people who have managed to get out of the difficult situation that you're currently going through. And I think on a basic human level, we can relate to everyday struggles, even though the details might be different. If you can surround yourself with people with a more positive mindset, it's like osmosis. Your mind will say, you can't be you. Your mind will say, you can't be you have to be so delusional enough to prove it wrong. Believe it anyways. And I'll see you tomorrow.